Something that's always fun to talk about on the channel are patents, because patents can be a glimpse into the future, or it can just be just protecting your IP. You see it with a lot of games and stuff like that, where patents and trademarks get renewed and people get excited. I mean, how many times have we heard that Eternal Darkness is coming back just for it to be absolutely nothing, just keeping the IP active in case anything were to happen in the future? With Nintendo, though, it's kind of a bit of a coin flip. Sometimes those things do come to fruition. Things like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom had a bunch of different patents, and that's how we actually learned about some of the newer gameplay mechanics that were included in that game. But then you also have stuff that ends up being nothing. Well, a new patent has been discovered, and people are kind of connecting the dots with this about how it's a GameCube controller for the Nintendo Switch 2. And I kind of just want to talk about it and go over some of the different possibilities, because I think it's exciting. I know Stupid Spawnwave already made this video, but my video is going to be better because I'm not Spawnwave. So this is coming to us from the Famiboards forum. They don't like me over there. Pokemaniac, who is a founder of Famiboards. Shout outs to Pokemaniac. But basically, this is a patent that was discovered for Nintendo Switch 2. And in this patent, it seems like Nintendo attempts to obscure their upcoming NSO controllers in their FCC filings may have been foiled once again by their distinctive shapes. The FCC filing for this controller shows a unusual label position on the lower left rear of the device. So in this picture here, you could see, for some reason, on the lower side of it, on the left side of the controller, there is a strange label that's just kind of right there. And of course, I mean, this is the internet and people are very smart and very savvy, but if you overlay it with the back of a wired GameCube controller, it's pretty much an exact match with the label position on the back of the C stick of the controller. So looking at it here, you could see, it lines up exactly how it should, almost to the T on this edge right here, which would be where you would put the label on this controller. So not the craziest thing in the world here, because yes, this is a controller of some sorts that does have a label on the back of it, but what does that actually mean? Does this necessarily mean that it is going to be a GameCube controller? Well, let's keep reading. Like the other NSO controllers, it seems to have been reworked into a wireless Bluetooth controller. Unlike the others, it appears to use the Nintendo Switch 2 number prefix, BEE, rather than the Switch 1 prefix, HAC, with the full model number being BEE-021. Now, if this was Celia B, you have to have three E's. Three E's. This suggests that the corresponding GameCube Nintendo Switch Online service will probably be Switch 2 exclusive, which probably makes sense from a hardware power perspective. This doesn't necessarily mean the controller will be fully incompatible with the Switch 1, however. As the two consoles will share an operating system, Switch 1 very might well register it as a GameCube controller for the games that already support that via the USB adapter. You could be wondering, could this be just a Switch 2 Pro controller? But there are several details that make that very unlikely, the most compelling of which seems to be any lack of NFC functionality, of course, amiibos, something that the Switch 2 Pro controller would almost always have. Past precedent shows or suggests that we should see an official announcement within a month or so of this filing. It could even be part of the Switch 2 Direct. So, obviously a lot of things to take away from that. I do find it interesting that we are automatically assuming that it is a GameCube controller strictly for Nintendo Switch 2 Online, because I'm not 100% sure on that. Like, yes, when you look at the prefix and stuff like that, and kind of how this is being handled from a perspective of the trademark is concerned, like, I mean, that is ideal. Like, let's be real. People want GameCube on Nintendo Switch Online. Obviously, if you're going to be increasing the price of the service, like has been rumored, you are going to a new system. You want to have more content readily available on there. And there are a lot of GameCube games that are not available on the Nintendo Switch with either remakes or remasters and stuff like that. Yes, there are some that are, but even look at something like Super Mario Sunshine. Like, Super Mario Sunshine was released in the Mario 35th Anniversary Collection. but so was Super Mario 64. And Super Mario 64 is also available on Nintendo Switch Online. So I don't think that game being a part of that collection would necessarily negate its functionality of it being on there. Of course, you have Nintendo Switch 1 games that utilize a GameCube controller, going back to Grid, which is a sort of pseudo realistic racing style game. In order to use the pressure sensitive triggers that the Switch doesn't have, you could use a GameCube controller in order to do that. There's also stuff like Smash Brothers that people like to use GameCube controllers with. And I'm kind of the mindset that there's going to be a Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Deluxe, much like we saw with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where there's going to be like some new stages or something, or maybe like a new story mode that has all the DLC available on it, on the cartridge, available day one for you. And I know there's people that's like, oh, well, it would be a licensing issue. You can't do that. And it's like, well, bro, I mean, they're still selling Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, so why can't they include all the DLC? If they time it right, because these licenses would expire at some point in time. If they time it right, they can easily do something like that. And yes, you don't want to see too many things like that, but if this is a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe situation where there's a bunch of DLC and you get additional content in it as well, I think it buys you a lot of time before you have to do the next Smash Brothers game, however that is going to look, because obviously Smash Brothers is a very popular IP, you know? But going back to the GameCube Online thing, I really would love to see that, you know, because there is a wealth of games. But the problem I have with the potential of that is how Nintendo has kind of treated some of these systems that they've already put out there. You know, it seems very sporadic when these games come out. It's very just, you know, here's a random announcement of something happening. It seems like they forget about consoles. Sega Genesis seems to have gone completely by the wayside, and I don't want to see that. I would rather see a bit more focus, you know, just do something every month. Have a dedicated day, and on that day during the month is when you release games for it. You don't even have to give the full slate of games, but at least give people something to look forward to with a little bit of consistency, because I feel like, you know, once you're adding in another system into the ecosystem of Nintendo Switch Online, you got to have something going on. You got to have some additional stuff going on to make people look forward to it. As far as this controller is concerned, you know, it would be interesting to see. It would be interesting to see, and I definitely think that there is something going along with this. Like, you know, the timing of it, the somewhat secrecy of it, as far as trying to, you know, put it out there into the universe, but not quite fully reveal what it is. Like, you're hiding something here. And I don't think it would be a huge shock for a GameCube style controller to come to the Nintendo Switch 2, but kind of how all of this lines up with the potential for Nintendo Switch Online. GameCube has been long rumored for Nintendo Switch Online. I say bring it on, man. I say bring it on. And the first game, and the first batch of games, you better have Geist. You better have Geist, and you better have some visual quality improvements like you did on the N64. Do not half-ass this, which I'm sure they probably will, and I'll just be better off playing GameCube games on Dolphin. But it's nice to be able to play it all on just one little system or something like that. I don't know. It's convenient. It's fun, and you can play online with people. Better have some online in that too as well. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about this whole situation? Do you think that this is going to be a GameCube controller that ends up seeing the light of day? Is it going to be utilized with Nintendo Switch Online? Because that's kind of how this is all lining up. And if so, like, would that maybe persuade you to sign up for, you know, the expansion pack? Because let me tell you, folks, they're not putting that in the a la carte version of Nintendo Switch Online. No, sir. But let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.